Good morning, sports fans. You're listening to 96.9 FM WHYR LP Baton Rouge Community Radio.
This is Eric Hatfield along with Coach Perry Daniels, and we are here to bring you the latest, the greatest, the best, and the most entertaining in high school, college, and professional sports. You are listening to Louisiana All American Sports. All right, good morning, Baton Rouge. Today is Saturday, March the 29th, 2014, and you are listening to Louisiana All American Sports on 96.9 FM WHYR LP Baton Rouge Community Radio. This is Eric Hatfield.
And I'm Coach Perry Daniels.
And we have another weekend chock full of sports today. Of course, we have Final Four in full swing, but before we go into that, we're going to talk about a gentleman we had on the show last week.
Yeah, man, we were graced in our studio with the superstar by the name of Nick Parker, who announced that he is going to the University of Loyola out of New Orleans to take his basketball talent and to get his education, which he's big on, which that family's big on, right. That educational thing. Last night, Nick Parker scored 31 points in the track event over at Port Allen that we mentioned on the air last week. The young man won the triple jump, the 110-meter hurdles, the 300-meter hurdles, and finished sixth in the long jump. So we just want to congratulate him, his dad, who was the head coach of the Port Allen Pelican track team. He was also here in studio last week, did not get on air, but that family just seems to be doing a phenomenal job with three young men that have all played college athletics. Nick Parker is the third, who will be the last one out of that clan to play college athletics. Big props to you guys.
Outstanding job by Nick Parker. For those of you not familiar with track and field, in any event, you can score up to 10 points. Last week, Nick Parker had a perfect 40 points, meaning he aced everybody against whom he competed. And now 31 points, that is high for a single person in a track meet. So this young man's going to have a lot of options. You know, he was talking about possibly going into engineering or marketing. He's playing college-level basketball. And dude's got, I don't know, you look at the stats, he seems to be, frankly, better in track than he is in basketball, as very good in all state as he is in basketball.
I don't know about that.
Man. Look, Bo Jackson was a bad mamma jamma in two sports too, but he was probably a better football player than baseball player. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Nick is man. That's impressive. So good for you.
Impressive. Good job, man. And again, thank you for joining us in the studio. And we had a great time last week, man. I think Eric and I really agree on this with Nick, with Derek Thomas coming in. Man, by the way, Derek Thomas and I hung out with Nelly and and DJ Super Mike from Max 94.1. Derek Thomas happens to be Super Mike's older cousin. And yes, and you Baton Rouge market, this Baton Rouge market that listens to the radio, hip-hop music, you know that DJ Super Mike's probably the number one DJ in the area. He had a birthday party last week, and last night he invited Nelly down. Not last night, last week he invited Nelly down to host the party. So we just had a great time once we left here, Eric.
That sounds like a fantastic. Hanging out with Nelly. We know we play his bump music so often whenever we talk about St. Louis, so it's really cool to meet the man in the flesh.
Yeah, man.
What's he like?
We got the Fixer coming up later on.
Oh,
so
cool.
We'll be playing it again.
Oh, yeah. What's Nelly like in person? Did you get to chat with him much?
I didn't get a chance to chat with him much. Derek Thomas did. But, he seems like a cool guy. He looked like he was really enjoying himself at the party.
Right, good.
So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, good for Nick Parker, and we're definitely going to continue to keep you updated as he continues to show. Oh, we got a call already at 225-343-9927, 225-343-9927. If you want to get in on the action here on Louisiana All American Sports.com, get it. And so we're going to jump into college basketball momentarily, but we have a caller on the line who wanted to jump into the action.
And actually, Eric, the caller wants to talk some college basketball. We're going to get his expertise. He's been coaching high school basketball for over 20 years now. This is Coach Chauncey Moore, the head coach of the Bel Air Bengals.
All right.
And he's going to lend us his expertise on what's going on the NCAA basketball scene. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Oh, pretty good. How y'all doing?
Oh, I could complain, but nobody would listen. How you doing this morning? Good?
I can't complain, Phil.
Fantastic. What you got, Coach?
Talk to us, Coach. Tell us about, we've got 2 games lined up today. The first game is which game, Eric?
Oh, man, first game on the blotter. I have them in order. I do not have the time of day of these games.
That's okay.
But we have for today, we have... Whoa! I skipped right past it. Let's blow by real quick. We got to check the schedule. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, well, Coach, you give us your opinion on who you think is going to eventually make it to the Final Four and who's going to be the national champ.
I believe Florida gonna get there just the way they're playing right now, but they got a tough one today against Dayton because Dayton's pretty good, and just like I've always said in high school playoffs, you just want to get in. It just matters who's hot right then and who's not. I watched the Kentucky-Louisville game last night. Louisville jumped out real quick, but then the Cats battled back, and, hey, they made it to the Elite Eight. So,
that was a classic.
Yeah, so I still think it's up for grabs, though, but I believe Florida's got the notch in hand right now.
Let's talk a little bit about this Dayton team because they seem to come out of nowhere. They're an 11 seed, and they've made it this far to the Elite Eight. What do you see about that team? Can they compete today? Do you see a close game against the Florida Gators?
Well, just like I said, they're in. So, yeah, I think they're going to be able to compete. And for it's popping up out of nowhere, I watch teams, on early Saturday morning, the ESPNU and other things. Why they're not a upset to me, because like I've always believed in the underdog, and the way basketball has changed on the collegiate ranks, people want to go places they can play. Nobody always wants to go to the Dukes and North Carolinas. Wichita State's a prime example. I believe they'd have played some tougher competition earlier, then they probably would have still been in the tournament now.
That's a good point, Coach.
Coach, who do you like in the West Regional? I think it's tomorrow, but it's going to be, or might be today, Wisconsin against Arizona. That is going to be a 1 versus 2. Where do you see that going?
I believe Wisconsin's going to pull it out just because of what Bo Ryan's done up there. Watched them the other night, how they just manhandled Baylor. I think Arizona plays on the same level for as up and down, and just kind of like what we did this past season. Wisconsin's half-court offense, they're going to methodically wear you down. Can you maintain? And if Arizona's able to get in and maintain their composure, then it should be a pretty good one.
We also have in the Midwest Regional Final, Michigan Wolverines, Kentucky Wildcats. You had touched on Kentucky earlier in that instant classic last night against Louisville. Do you think Kentucky keeps the momentum going, or do you think they meet their Waterloo against the Wolverines?
That's going to be a tough one because I think they shot their wad last night playing against their rival. But again, it's playoff atmosphere, so it's who's hot that night.
Right. That Kentucky team has really been playing well as of late. Coach, I want to get your opinion on a couple of other things, man. One, just this past week, the National Labor Board in Chicago announced that they feel that the University of Northwestern, those football players, are employees of the university. Wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that and what that might mean for college athletics.
Well, I think that the universities should do more for the athletes, not necessarily pay them, because they do generate the funds for the universities, just as high school sports generate funds for most of the schools, even though they receive state funds. But overall, it's the sports programs who actually run the schools. I don't think they should be paid and informed as a union, but I think the university should do more as far as books or maybe some type of incentive, not necessarily money-wise.
Okay. And lastly, this week Mark Cuban made the comment that he feels like the NFL is oversaturating the market by going to a Thursday night broadcast on mainstream television, which is CBS. In years past, they have done the Thursday night game on the NFL network. What are your thoughts on Mark Cuban's statement? Do you think that's true, that the NFL is oversaturating the market and it's eventually going to hurt them?
With pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered, as he said.
Right.
I think they're going beyond because, okay, you already got high school and college on Thursday night. So now if you throw the NFL in there, it's going to hurt the high school and the college market because now the fans going to have to pick. Do I want to go to this NFL game or do I want to go support my alma mater or university, high school, or support my kids? So now it could go either way.
Okay.
Yeah, Coach. No, I hear you. It's. I'll tell you, the NFL right now they print money and they're trying to. I think they're trying to take over as much of the media market as they can. It's going to be really interesting to see where that goes.
Coach, we appreciate you calling this morning, man, giving us your insight. We've got you on record. Your eventual national champion is the Florida Gators, and we will let you know if that doesn't work out right for you, Coach.
Hey, that'll work. I appreciate you guys letting me get in there this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. That was Coach Chauncey Moore, head basketball coach of the Bel Air Bengals. Bel Air Bengals, who in fact reached the playoffs this year in Class 4A. So we'll definitely continue to follow their progress there. We've got a couple of Bel Air Bengals basketball games at Louisiana All American Sports.com. One game against Southern Lab, one against the Christian Life Academy Crusaders, who of course advanced to the quarterfinals of the 1A playoffs. So you can check out that action on Louisiana All American Sports.com. So with it being Saturday morning and with all this college basketball action in the air, let's go ahead and start talking about the big dance. So let's go ahead and recap the games that we had over the weekend, or I should say Thursday and Friday, before diving into today's action. In the South region, of course, we had the Dayton Flyers, who continue to fly along. They outlasted Stanford and have advanced to the Elite Eight, and they will face the Florida Gators, who duked it out with the UCLA Bruins. Now, a couple of folks in our studio last week were buying into what UCLA was selling, but Florida showed they could just lock people out, and then Scotty Wilbekin just took over. It seemed like just took over when they needed it the most. I mean, you have a team like Florida that doesn't score a lot, but they've proven once again when they need to, they can.
79 points is a lot.
Oh no, I'm in total agreement. They did score. That's my point. They when they needed to score those points, they got it done. And then Scotty Wilbekin late in the second half was making these. It's like he was so dialed into the bucket and dialed into the game, he was not going to be turned back. And this team is starting to get that kind of destiny aura about them, I think. So Florida and Dayton, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you think that Dayton's Cinderella run ends here?
Well, because I chose, at the beginning of the tournament, I chose Florida to win it all.
Right.
So I'm going to stick with that. Although this Dayton team is impressive, man. Not only are they long, athletic, but they can put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, they can shoot, man.
They can shoot, and they play D.
And the interesting thing is the Dayton Flyers kind of win with that up-tempo style. Florida kind of slows you down. So it's going to be, interesting to see which battle of wills wins out today.
Right, but you just have to have the feeling that Florida, because of the SEC and their track record, that they're going to prevail here.
I totally agree. West Regional semifinals, we had Wisconsin outlasting Baylor. It looks like they're on the upswing again. And San Diego State and Arizona, that was a fantastic game, but Arizona had just enough to outlast the Aztecs. By the way, 225-343-9927, 225-343-9927 if you would like to get on the conversation. Arizona's an interesting team. They play very solid defense. They're very good at attacking the basketball. They play well inside the paint. And when they go against Wisconsin, here's my thing with Wisconsin. I never know which Badger team is showing up, so I'm going to go with Arizona on that. But like Coach Moore said, if Bo Ryan has them and Sam Decker and all those guys up and playing at their best, I think Wisconsin can win, but I'm going to go on record with Arizona.
I chose Arizona to play in the national championship game. Here's what concerns me. Their free throw shooting concerns me drastically.
Yeah.
It is hard to win at this level of basketball if you don't shoot free throws well. Hey, Eric, but guess what, man? We've got on the phone from the University of Kentucky.
Oh.
Yes, we've got the newest freshman on the University of Kentucky football team, TV Williams, calling in to talk about his Kentucky Wildcats and their basketball situation. TV, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and you?
I'm doing well. Hey, man, I've got to introduce you properly, and I really haven't asked you on before for an interview because I didn't want to seem biased. And I want to say on the radio that TV Williams is my nephew, the son of my older brother, AC Williams. And I am just extremely proud of you, the way that you handle yourself at the University of Kentucky, and that whole media thing. And I know how crazy those fans can get. So I just wanted to say publicly how proud of you we are. So now let's move on. Let's talk some Kentucky Wildcat basketball, man. What were you thinking last night during the game?
Oh, I mean, my thoughts were crazy. There was just a whole bunch of nerves. I mean, everybody was sitting in front of the TV. Everybody was just waiting to see what was going to happen. I mean, when James Young fouled out, everybody was like, oh, snap, what's about to happen? And then really when Harrison hit the three is really when everybody just started erupting and it just went crazy.
I can imagine. You watched it with a lot of other Kentucky students?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the dorms were packed. I mean, the streets were filled. The whole football team was watching it. Everybody was just jumping around. We were just excited.
Now, if I remember correctly, Perry, you told me TV, he finished high school early and enrolled in the spring, right? So you are fresh to college life. So, I mean, I know you've been paying attention just in general to college athletics probably since you were a small child. What's the difference in what you saw actually being right there at ground zero in Lexington versus maybe what you perceived it to be like growing up and through high school?
It's a lot different. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, man, don't have too much fun up there, TV. You're there for a reason.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm still doing everything I'm supposed to do, but it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it's only going to get better. Enjoy it while you're there because you only get to experience that once in life.
That's right, man. That's right. So what are your thoughts on the next game? Okay, so now you've passed the big test. I didn't give you much credit to get by the Louisville Cardinals, but the Wildcats did it. And now you have to take on the Michigan Wolverines. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I feel like we can do it. I mean, the basketball team pretty much has the whole city of Lexington behind them. I mean, everybody's rooting for them. Everybody wants them to do good. I mean, Coach Cal is a great coach. I mean, the players are amazing. So I feel like we could do it.
And your fellow, I guess you're part of this recruiting class since their recruiting class came in this year. Maybe not your next year's recruiting class, but the guy who's from Dallas, the big guy in the middle for the Kentucky Wildcats, goes by the name of the big guy. TV, help me out.
Julius Randle.
Julius Randle.
Yeah, okay.
You saw him in prep basketball, being from Dallas, that area. Talk about him real quick, TV.
I mean, Julius is a beast. I mean, I remember when I was when we were both still in Texas, I was at one of the football games, and he just happened to be on the sidelines, and I just walked by him and just like, he's just a monster. The way his body is built, he's built like a man, coming straight out of high school. I mean, he's just a monster.
He really has stepped his game up in this tournament too, man.
And by the way, you can see high school footage of Julius Randle back in 2012 facing the Madison Prep Academy Chargers if you go to YouTube and type in Louisiana All American Sports, you can find that matchup in the Duncanville Hoop Fest tournament in 2012.
That's right. All right, TV, we're going to let you go, man. I know you just got off the football field, though, and we've got to talk a little Kentucky Wildcat football. When is that spring game?
The spring game is April 26th.
April 26th. What did your recruiting class at the University of Kentucky end up for this recruiting class, this one that you're a part of? How were you ranked?
I think we were ranked I want to say like 15th in the country for our recruiting class.
Awesome. So now we can expect some big things out of Kentucky Wildcat football, similar to what we see for Kentucky Wildcat basketball?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
All right.
What's your opinion of the coaching staff there, of what you've been able to see so far?
Say again?
Your opinion of the coaching staff of Kentucky football, what's your opinion of what you've been able to see so far?
I mean, they're really worried. They just want us to worry about us. I mean, not worry about anything, any other outside of their attention. They want us to pretty much just work on our fundamentals and stuff. I mean, we just had our first spring practice, and it was pretty good. So, I mean, they're helping us, especially the freshmen that just came in. They're really helping us get acclimated to all the new terminology and stuff like that.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Best
Great
of luck,
job,
TV.
nephew. Love you very much, man. Take care. Have a good semester. Stay focused. Accomplish your business.
Thank you. I love you, too.
Take care, bud. That was TV Williams, freshman recruit at the Big Blue Nation, University of Kentucky football, and we will certainly keep you posted on his progress as it advances throughout his college career. Now, speaking of the Midwest semis, we kind of got TV's take on it. Michigan Wolverines, Kentucky Wildcats, Coach Beeline, national runner-up against Coach Cal, whose Kentucky Wildcats just rubbed out the defending national champions. You have Julius Randle of Kentucky. There's a point guard from Michigan whose name I can never pronounce by reading it, so I'm not going to attempt to. But you have a marquee, high-profile matchup coming up tomorrow. So I don't know, Perry. Thoughts?
Where are we, Eric?
Michigan and Kentucky.
Well, man, I tell you what, after Kentucky did what they did last night, it's kind of tough to pick against those guys, although you're constantly waiting for them to return to the Wildcats that we saw all year.
Right.
And,
Right.
and when they do that, that's the end of the road for them.
Right. Now, the question is, do you think they're, I'll give you two different examples. Wisconsin, senior-laden team, we've seen them go up and down all year.
Yes.
Kentucky is kind of youthful, and I've often found with youthful teams that start to take off, and then when the moment is big, they don't tend to regress, or at least not as dramatically as your senior-laden teams, because they're still learning, and they tend to be putting the building blocks together, whereas your seniors have peaked as far as how far they're going to perform. Do you think this team is just cresting at the right time, or do you think that they're due for a relapse against a Michigan team that isn't as freshman-dependent as Kentucky with the Harrisons and with Julius Randle?
Right. Both. I think they are cresting at the right time. It's just that, can they bounce back from that emotional victory over your intrastate rival?
Yeah.
That's the key with such a short period of time. In 48 hours, can they put the Louisville win behind them and move on? That's the biggest challenge for those freshmen and Coach Calipari. And
moving on to the East region, not the biggest. I mean, I guess technically it's an upset because of the seeding, but I expected Connecticut to beat the Iowa State Cyclones. Shabazz Napier, he's a senior player, he's a key player, and he is on fire at the right time. And I thought that his athleticism and leadership would probably trump the strength and size and scoring ability of DeAndre Kane and Melvin Ejim of the Cyclones, and it looks like they did. They're going to advance to play the Michigan State Spartans, who I also expected to rub out the Virginia Cavaliers, and they did. So we have Tom Izzo going up against bringing his Spartans, and those seniors, Adrian Payne, Keith Appling, they've come so close in the past, they've been denied, and now you have a sophomore in Gary Harris who can score and who can shoot. I personally think that pushes Michigan State over the hump into the Final Four and possibly into a national championship. What's your read on that, Michigan State and Connecticut?
Well, Napier, I've underestimated him the entire tournament, man. I did not expect him to be able to put UConn on his back and get them to this deep in the tournament. He's done a fantastic job. Guard play is paramount when it comes to amateur athletics.
Right.
So, in the pro game, big men dominate, but here it is about guards, and he's doing a fantastic job. Here's the problem, though. Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo.
Oh yeah. Tom Izzo's one of the best tournament coaches. I mean, I think he's one of the best NCAA tournament coaches of his time.
Right, exactly. So I've got to give the edge to the Michigan State Spartans here, just because of that and their scoring ability inside.
Right. Yeah, they do. And they've got, and that seasoning. I mean, you got seniors on that team. I mean, who have always stood out. I mean, Appling. This is at least his third year where if you follow Big Ten basketball at all or pay any attention to Michigan State, you really know who he is. And Adrian Payne has just, I mean, he's just been beastly on the inside this year. He has come out of the, I don't want to say out of the shadows, because if you watch them, you know who he is. But he's kind of stepped to the forefront this season. I just think Michigan State's a little too much. So from what I don't think we disagreed on any of these. Let me just make sure. This is what I've got.
Okay.
And I think we're the same.
Okay.
Final four, I think we agree on Florida over Dayton.
Yes.
I think we both picked Arizona over Wisconsin, right?
And I'm only sticking with that one because I originally picked it. And watching Wisconsin play against Baylor, watching Arizona win their game the way that they did,
right?
I almost want to say Wisconsin here. So, but I'm gonna stick with Arizona.
Yeah, no, that Baylor win, I was impressed with I wasn't sure if the players for Wisconsin had the physicality it took to take out Baylor, but they did. So that is going to be an interesting matchup to watch.
Here's the key to that game: if it's close, favor Wisconsin because of Arizona's free throw shooting. If Arizona's athleticism can get them an extended lead, then they, of course, they win the game.
Right, or especially if the way they attack the ball, if they can force turnovers, if they can dictate the tempo of the game, I think that's going to determine the winner. The team that dictates the tempo. If Arizona dictates it, I think they win. If Wisconsin is at the behind the driver's seat, good grief, behind the wheel, I'm trying to say.
Behind the driver's seat.
Yeah, if they're behind the wheel, then I think they take that game.
So I'm gonna go Arizona then.
Yeah, me too. Now this one I don't know. I don't know if we're the same on this or not. I'm taking Kentucky over Michigan. That's another game that has instant classic potential.
Man, we just spoke with my nephew who's in Lexington. I'm going Kentucky Blue.
All right, so we're on that one, and we're clearly in agreement on Michigan State and Kentucky. So we're either going to be right together or wrong together. That ship is either going to sink or swim. There's not going to be any lifeboats like on the Titanic.
Right.
So look, that's all we got for the NCAA tournament for the moment. So we're going to, of course, go to our normal segment of I Told You So. We'll let you enjoy that. We'll come out on the other side with a lot of other news in the world of sports, because while the headlines, of course, are in the NCAA tournament throughout the entire month of March, there is a whole lot to talk about, a lot going on in the NFL, the NBA getting heated up. That was one heck of a matchup, one heck of an Eastern Conference Finals preview, in my opinion, between the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat. If the 7-game series between Indiana and Miami is anything like the 3 games they played so far, anything like Wednesday, hey, I think that's pay-per-view material right there. 225-343-9927, area code 225-343-9927. If you would like to get in on the conversation, you're listening to 96.9 FM WHYR LP Baton Rouge Community Radio.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
This is just the round of 32 in no particular order. We have the University of Florida playing Pittsburgh today. I think the Florida Gators are going to chew them up and spit them out.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
Stephen F. Austin will face UCLA, and I do think that's where the Lumberjacks will probably meet their Waterloo.
No, I've got them winning this one too.
You have them beating UCLA, really?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
No, I got UCLA on that.
Okay. What about you, Nick?
I got UCLA. They got big dogs.
I want y'all to know this is going on the record. So next week, when y'all are sitting in your respective homes and you're listening to the show, you're going to hear this back now. Okay?
We have Dayton playing Syracuse, and I do like Syracuse there. I think the Dayton Flyers run comes to an end. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Syracuse. Let's get everyone's opinion here.
Give me Syracuse.
Yeah, Syracuse.
All right.
All right.
Kansas Jayhawks will face a Stanford, the Stanford Cardinal. I got Kansas in that one.
Give me Kansas.
Kansas.
Kansas, but it's gonna be a close game.
Yeah.
That was Nick Parker who claimed it would be a close game.
Memphis is going to face Virginia. I think the Cavaliers advance on with relative ease.
Give me Virginia. I love Virginia. That's going to be a Final Four team.
Yeah, Virginia.
And we have Michigan State. They're going to play Harvard, and I think that's where all that stops time is. I think they're going to coast right by the Crimson.
Yeah, Michigan State, everybody loves them. I love them. Give me Michigan State.
Gotta go with Obama.
That's an incredible. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from not surprised.
Come on, that man.
Iowa State Cyclones, North Carolina Tar Heels. The Tar Heels struggled to beat Providence. They're not going to have, with Melvin Ejim and DeAndre Big Daddy Kane, I don't think they're going to have the same kind of luck. I like the Cyclones in that one, Iowa State.
Love Iowa State.
Really?
We have University of Connecticut narrowly slipped by St. Joseph. They'll be playing the Villanova Wildcats, and in spite of, these are two very underwhelming teams, but I actually like UConn better. And so in a game of two teams that aren't going very far, in my opinion, I think Connecticut wins.
Give me Connecticut.
Connecticut.
All right, I love this because this is where I get a chance to differ. Villanova's going to win this game, and let me tell you why.
No!
We'll see, man.
Not Noel Jackson. Music Satisfaction. We have North Dakota State against San Diego State, NDSU against SDSU. I actually like the Bison in this game, believe it or not. I've never been sold on San Diego State all year.
No.
They're underrated in this part of the country because we don't get a chance to see them often because they play so late. Because I think they'll win today over the underdog North Dakota
State Bison, yes. 5 minutes to go, so let's blast through them. Baylor is going to face Creighton today. I like Creighton in that matchup. I just think Baylor is very inconsistent in scoring, and I think they're too post-dependent. That's just my 2 cents.
Doug McDermott to the Sweet 16.
Y'all got Creighton.
There's
I'm all in on Creighton.
You were right.
So we'll have the Wisconsin Badgers, and they will face the Oregon Ducks. I think Bo Ryan and those Badgers are going to pummel.
Give me Oregon.
Ooh, all right.
Respect for the Pac-10. It's tough for Wisconsin to score. It's tough.
Oregon.
Wichita State Shockers against the Kentucky Wildcats. I think this is where the Shockers meet their Waterloo. They're not very impressive, but I just think Kentucky is going to have more athleticism and more speed. Wichita State Shockers, Kentucky Wildcats. I like Kentucky. I got Kentucky. You got Wichita State, Nick?
Kentucky.
He likes Kentucky. All right, we have the St. Louis Billikens playing the Louisville Cardinals. I've got the Cardinals. I know who you
I'm
got.
already on record.
Derek's got St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Nick's got St. Louis.
I like you.
All right. Tennessee versus Mercer. I got Tennessee in that one.
Give me Tennessee, East St. Louis finest. Quanzo Martin.
And we have the Texas Longhorns going up against the Michigan Wolverines. I got Michigan. I think Texas is going to get crushed.
I've got Michigan.
Give me Texas.
Texas.
All right.
ECU. Okay, so we are back on the air. Hope you enjoyed that edition of I Told You So with some expanded commentary.
Man, some of that was tough to listen to, man.
Perry was on both. Perry just knew he was going to sucker punches with Villanova, but look, I mean, we definitely always have a little fun when none of us have crystal balls,
right.
And that's what makes the NCAA tournament so fun. I
love this time of year, man. You never know who's going to do what, but we've got some insight that's going to help you guys choose a little bit better from here moving forward. We've got my homeboy on the line giving us all of the odds coming out of Vegas. Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, now living in Vegas. This guy works for a living, and sometimes his job is to surprise you guys.
And if you listen to this show for any amount of time, I think you know who's coming up when you hear this.
I'm going down the street in the rain. Come on. Boom, boom, baby. Ready to let it go.
the Fixer.
What up, G?
Hey, what's going on, bro? How you doing this morning?
Super fantastic, man. How are you?
Oh, man, out here in Vegas, just living it, man. This tournament is really exciting this year. It's pretty decent.
It is, man. Talk to us. Help the people out, man. Give us the odds on who's going to make it to the Final Four and who's going to eventually be our 2014 basketball national champion.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start in the Midwest. They got Michigan, giving Michigan 2 points. You know, Michigan, Kentucky. Michigan.
Wait. Hold on.
So Michigan's the underdog.
Michigan, who's favorite?
The underdog.
Who's the favorite?
Kentucky.
By 2. Okay, go ahead.
All right. And then we go to the East, where we got Connecticut and Michigan State. Michigan State by 6. You know what I'm saying? They're giving Connecticut 6 points.
Okay, yep.
All right, we go to the West, and we got Wisconsin and Arizona. They're giving Wisconsin 2.5 points.
Wow.
So
This is the intriguing game here. Dayton, Florida. They won't give Florida double digits, but they're giving them 9.5.
you mean Florida minus 9.5?
Right.
Minus 9.5.
Wow.
Now, I want you to understand this. If you were from Dayton, Ohio, and you came to Vegas, and you put $1 on the Dayton Flyers, Dayton opened up the NCAA tournament as 500-1 odds.
Wow.
So for $1 you win 500.
Wait, now is that to win it all, or is that for Dayton to get to the Final Four?
To win it all.
Oh, to win it all.
Do you have any? I'm just curious, because I know Vegas, you can bet on the weather practically. Do you have any idea what the odds were for Dayton just to make it this far? If somebody put $1 on Dayton to reach the Elite Eight.
They didn't have any odds on that because nobody expected.
Right, I got you.
Wow.
But if you came to Vegas and you bet $1 on the Dayton Flyers to win it all, it's 500-1. Wow. So if you put $100 on the Dayton Flyers,
oh, you're getting paid, baby.
Right.
You're getting paid. That's what, about $500,000, huh? If my math is correct.
you're correct. It's $50,000.
My bad.
50,000.
So yeah, look, let me ask you a question. By the way, for folks, who are not gambling savvy. Let's say, for argument's sake, that Dayton made it to the Final Four, and somebody did put $1 on Dayton. Do bookies do a thing where maybe they pay out a partial based on the odds just to get out of the liability? Like, let's say I put $1 on Dayton, they make it to the Final Four. Is there any way you might give me $10 or $20 just to call my bet off to reduce your liability? Does that happen in Vegas?
No, only thing you get is a thank you.
Gotcha. All right.
Well, speaking of thank yous, we'd like to thank you. Did you have anything else, G?
Say that again?
Did you have anything else for the listeners?
I'm betting on the Dayton Flyers.
Really? What are the odds at this point? If I was to walk in today and put some money on $10 on the Dayton Flyers, what would be my odds today?
I would say probably 25-1.
Wow.
That's
still strong.
Yeah.
Okay, man, I need to get your opinion on the National Labor Board's ruling this week that the University of Northwestern football players are considered employees of the university. What do you think regarding that, and what will that mean for amateur athletics?
I'm thinking that they have woken up the NCAA's eyes to maybe they'll pay a little bit more attention. Do I think that they'll ever get paid? No, but do I think that the athletes will have a little bit more to say into their future? Yes. I don't, the pay thing is too random. Should Southern athlete get paid the same thing as University of Michigan athlete or LSU athlete, no, because they don't bring in the same amount of income. So that's too random right there. So I think that it's bringing the light on the health insurance and spending more money on the athlete while they're there, and scholarship terms, I think it's a good thing.
Awesome.
All right.
Hey, man, you know the routine. Stay off the grid.
Stay out of
jail. Peace.
Peace.
That was The Fixer.
I'm going down, baby. Yo, street in the rain.
Hey, Aaron, man, I've got to weigh in a little bit. That was interesting, his perspective on that amateur ruling.
Absolutely.
Here are my thoughts here on this subject.
Before we dive in about 20 minutes, we have Noel Jackson, Music Satisfaction on 96.9 FM WHYR Baton Rouge Community Radio. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, thank you. Here we go. The ruling does not have anything to do with money, although unionizing will lead to power for the athletes. Okay?
I agree.
So if they are employees, you have to treat them a little differently than you have to treat a student athlete. What happens in the right to work states like Louisiana, where unions cannot be formed? Okay.
Well, you can form, but you can't compel members to join, as opposed to a non-right to work state where, let's say, I think Illinois is like this, where if you have a union, you have to be on board. You could be compelled to be on board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
The incentive to be on board is greater in those type of states.
Right. Exactly.
But this is how I see this shaping out. Right now, no one's talking money. They're talking health benefits. They're getting hurt on the field. They want to be able to receive insurance that will last them beyond their collegiate playing careers. I think what you'll see in order to keep the recruiting playing field level, Eric, because if I'm a young man being raised in Louisiana, I can play football, and someone in Illinois wants to recruit me, and they're offering me insurance for the rest of my life, that gives them the advantage over an LSU, over in Florida. So I think this is why you saw the SEC legalize payments to athletes a couple of years ago, because they saw this coming.
Yep.
And they're going to have to pay some athletes to compete recruiting-wise against those northern schools who won't pay their athletes, but that union will require that they insure those athletes.
Let me tell you something. The Fixer took a lot of the words out of my mouth. The NCAA has brought this on themselves for years and years and decades with this hypocritical nonsense that they have, where they're trying to put the guise of amateurism. And granted, it exists for archery, tennis, swimming. I think it's genuine amateurism. But where the honeypot gets big, where they're talking turkey with football and certain universities basketball, it's nothing like resembling amateurism. There's way too much money flowing around, and there's way too much but and contorting. Listen, and the thing is too, I think the Fixer hit the nail on the head. Do I think it's going to lead directly to competitive payments and college free agency? No. And I've heard on talk radio all these slippery slope arguments. Well, what do you think it means? Are they going to start asking for salary increases and going on strike? Listen up, silly mortals, as Perry would say. Listen up. What these football players at Northwestern have done by getting this ruling is they have pushed these issues to the forefront. And I've heard even the most skeptical of talking heads, talk about how the insurance, requesting some different insurance coverage is perfectly reasonable. Requesting a guaranteed 4-year scholarship is reasonable. How maybe getting a stipend at some of the heavy revenue generating programs is reasonable. They're not going to ask for something unreasonable. Nobody's going to roll out of bed and ask for, $2 million. Jadeveon Clowney of 10 years from now ain't going to ask for $2 million to stay in school for another year, because it's just not realistic.
No, but if there is a school out there willing to pay him that, is there something wrong with that? If there's someone willing to pay him.
And that's where I think the possibility of unionization and collective bargaining comes to the forefront, because right now, with the landscape as it was before Thursday, the NCAA could just say, no.
Right, we don't do that.
Like whack-a-mole.
Right.
Now you have to come to the table and talk about it.
That's exactly right.
And I think that's a good thing, and like I said, they brought this on themselves for decades, the way that they've kind of handled their players who put who put food on the table.
They created the term student athlete, and we all bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Sure.
But see, as an employee, Eric, I'm wondering, and we've got to get us a labor attorney on, man.
Right.
But now, if that football player gets hurt on that field, is that a workers' comp claim?
Yeah, there are a lot of avenues that will have to be looked at. Mike and Mike in the Morning discussed this on Thursday morning, I believe, and they did have their labor attorney expert on there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was really good though, and he said he talked about a number of things. He didn't go too much into the workers' comp because there are a lot of delicate legal issues. Just because the judge says these guys are employees doesn't mean that they're automatically granted the same employee status as somebody holding a jackhammer or doing work every day. But he said, for example, some of the cynics and critics of the unionization said, well, if they're employees now, maybe they'd have to pay taxes on their scholarship. And the labor attorney's like, no, under the United States tax code, a scholarship is a grant. You cannot tax it. Okay. Just because you can play, ordinary people, and we talked about this before the show. We can play semantics games and guess all day,
right.
But the law is what it is, and Rome isn't going to be built in a day.
No,
this is going to take time for any substantial changes, but this is a huge first step.
A huge first step, and hopefully, it's going to lead to the demise of this organization called the NCAA.
Yeah, I think they need to have some of their claws taken out and their wings clipped and their feathers plucked. At least when it comes to football and basketball at the major revenue generating programs, because I think there's a gross imbalance of power there, and this is the first step, I think, towards just tipping that scale ever so slightly back towards the people who are putting their bodies on the line and making everything happen.
Absolutely.
So speaking of games in which people are putting their bodies on the line and making the money and making things happen, let's talk about a little bit of the National Football League. So we have a lot of NFL action going on this past week, a lot of news, a lot of stuff worth discussing. We had Johnny Football going out and having his pro day, and did anybody expect anything less than a big old show with the big top from Johnny Football? I mean, they had President George H.W. Bush in the audience. They had celebrities and dignitaries, and then the man came out there and played with his helmet and pads on and his shorts. And I'll tell you what. And then, from what I understand, he did pretty well on his throws. One thing's for sure: if you're getting Johnny Football, you're getting the whole package, and you're getting the show. Now, I think certain teams are going to have a different appetite for that showmanship than others, but the NFL is getting ready to get a very special player who's going to get people talking, and that's always good for the league.
Are we talking number one pick in the draft here?
This is what I think. Me personally, if I'm the Houston Texans or whoever ends up with that pick, because now there are a lot of reports surfacing that the Texans are trying to trade that pick. Do I pick him over Jadeveon Clowney, who's just a physical freak with whom you can't miss, or do I trade down and get some additional picks? I personally think they're better quarterbacks in the draft. I think Teddy Bridgewater's a safer pick because of his size and his strength. Johnny Football, and I've said on this show on The Bachelor, I love watching this guy play. I'm a fan. I'm all in on him. But, much like Michael Vick and Robert Griffin III, also guys who I really like to watch play, he's small, and like those other two guys, he has the gift where he can run, and when you do that, you're going to get hit in the NFL. I think that can increase his possibility of injury. So I personally, if the number one pick in the draft is a quarterback, I think you're safer with Teddy Bridgewater, even though there's less fanfare. Personally, I take Jadeveon Clowney, trade down, and maybe look at some of these other rookies that might be available in the first or the second round.
It's going to be interesting, man. I know there's more to drafting a guy than his than his football ability.
Right.
And Johnny Manziel sells tickets in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I think he's going to sell tickets anywhere.
But tremendously in Texas. So again, we tend to look at this from a fan standpoint. I think the NFL looks at it more from a business standpoint.
Right.
They're going to sell a bunch of tickets if they take Johnny Manziel.
That is true. Now, the only thing, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I agree with everything you said.
Sure.
I think they'll lose their minds in Houston if they take a kid who played right up the road there. But, the Texans, as terrible as they've been last year and as terrible as they were prior to 2009, still sold out that stadium.
Now,
I'll tell you where they don't always put everybody in the seats, and that's in Jera World. Tony Romo's in his 30s, just throwing it out there. Hey, I even said, look, Drew Brees is 36 years old. He might only have 3 or 4 good years left. I'm just saying. I don't think any of those, maybe Houston, but the Dallas and New Orleans, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's generating all this talk.
It is. It is. And wherever he goes, he's going to sell jerseys, which Houston hasn't been doing.
No.
Now, to me, though, man, the guy is perfectly suited for Minnesota. Remnants of Fran Tarkenton.
Right, yeah, he's got that scrambling. And a lot of folks have said that, yeah. I think any offense, and look, don't rule out. I mean, this is a guy who's projected to possibly slip into the second round because of all the liabilities, but a team like Philadelphia that is not grounded on its long-term quarterback situation. Nick Foles had a great breakout, but they don't know, they haven't committed to him long-term. Where's the want?
I mean, but why sign him? Why sign him if you're
I think you need a backup. And one thing about Sanchez's ceiling is limited, but his floor is limited too. You know what you're getting in Sanchez.
Right.
Nick Foles is still, he could have a sophomore implosion once people get to look at film on him. On the other hand, Johnny Manziel is a long-term option.
Yeah,
so
I don't see him being around
you
by
don't
the time
think
Philly chooses.
So, you have, I think, a team that is Philly-esque in that they throw the ball a lot. They rely on a lot of speed and a lot of
getting the quarterback on the edge.
Right, exactly. And they rely on being smaller and faster as opposed to being traditional. A team with that element in their offensive philosophy, I think, would be an excellent fit for Johnny Football if he doesn't go first pick in the draft.
I hear that thought process.
I hear you. That is I can't wait to see where. I'm going to tell you, unless he goes to Carolina or Tampa Bay or Atlanta or the Patriots, I'm buying myself a Johnny Manziel jersey as soon as it comes out. I just like everything about that kid. Moving on, more NFL news. One thing we love about sports is its history. And one of the most historic franchises in the National Football League is the Oakland Raiders. And with Al Davis, and they had a proud tradition up until the mid 2000s, shortly after the turn of the 21st century, the Raiders were the winningest franchise in pro sports history. They've had a real vicious downturn in the last decade or so, but it looks like Reggie McKenzie has found the solution and found the tool he needs to bring the Raiders back to greatness. That's right. In Oakland, they have gotten a hold of a DeLorean with a flux capacitor as the Raiders have gone back to the future. Why do I say that? Well, they've kind of reached back for a lot of players who, 10 years ago, either had their whole futures in front of them or were taking the league by storm. And as it stands, the Raiders have decided to bring those guys on board because clearly they found the fountain of youth to go back in time and bring those guys into the year 2014. What am I talking about? The Raiders have signed 32-year-old Justin Tuck, free agent. They've signed Lamar Woodley to a free agency contract. He is also over the age of 30. These are guys who have tons of Pro Bowls and sacks and big plays in their past. They arranged a trade for Matt Schaub, who is on the other side of 30 and who was on the other side of his Houston Texans career via trade, but they've gone back in time to perhaps to 2009 to bring that Matt Schaub out, the Pro Bowl Matt Schaub, the one who threw for 4,500 yards and had the Texans in the playoffs. What else have they done? Well, just yesterday it was announced that they brought in 8-year veteran Maurice Jones-Drew, who simply ran over the AFC South for the last 8 years with Pro Bowls. And of course, that running back is coming up on 30. And hey, it's usually the death knell for most running backs' careers, but no, not in Oakland, because they have the DeLorean with the flux capacitor, and they're going to bring the old Maurice Jones-Drew back from the early 2000s, put a helmet and shoulder pads on him, and the Raiders are going to run right over Peyton Manning and the rest of the AFC West. Dripping with sarcasm. Perry?
Well, the problem here is it's the AFC West, which is one of the toughest divisions, with the exception of the NFC West, maybe the toughest division in the NFL. So I kind of like what Oakland's doing here. They're taking a win now mentality. What concerns me, though, is that offensive line. They haven't been able to get that together.
I could not remember his name, and I forgot to write it down, but another free agent they signed, I think to play left tackle, was another 30-something who had some Pro Bowls and some success in his past, and I just can't remember his name, but that's a key position. And they're going old.
Well, because they're taking a win-now mentality. And I think, actually, Matt Schaub's a much better sign for them than the previous Matt that they signed, the former LSU Tiger Matt Flynn.
Oh, that hurts.
Who I'm struggling to kind of figure out why he's even still in the NFL.
Perry, I've been getting some texts saying, that Perry has a little haterism on LSU. Now, look, Perry does have a degree from LSU, so there's no haterism, but man, you're harsh on those LSU boys.
Only because I believe in reality, and I think LSU Tiger fans tend to paint rosy pictures of LSU Tigers and that whole LSU situation, and it's not always that way. I do think it's great to see that they've got some high character guys playing quarterback this year for the LSU Tigers.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting. But Oakland, it's going to be interesting to see how you come out of this. I'll tell you what, if it doesn't work out, that franchise is really going to have to recover from a long way.
Maybe. I mean, the good news is they're so old that those contracts will just disappear in a year or two. Geritol, the official sponsor of the Oakland Raiders. So anyway, we got also the no fun league striking again as they institute the Jimmy Graham rule, which would put in a 15-yard penalty for dunking over the goalpost. Great to see Roger Goodell is taking one of the real priorities, like dunking over the goalpost. Still no word on that Washington Redskins issue. In addition, we have about 3 minutes left, but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the NBA, and there was an instant classic on Wednesday. The Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. Indiana won that game. I want to say it was 84-83. It was at Indianapolis. There were bloody noses. There were elbows. There were punches in the nose. These teams don't like each other, and these teams, barring some catastrophe, are going to meet up. There was an ejection. Dwayne Wade baited Lance Stevenson, got him thrown out of the game. Unless there's some rash of injuries, these two teams will be in the Eastern Conference Final, or unless Tom Thibodeau has a rabbit in his hat in Chicago. I can't wait to see this 7-game series. This is pay-per-view material if it's anything like Wednesday night or even the first 2 games.
Yeah, this is classic NBA throwback to the old rivalries of the day.
Your Knicks and Bulls, your old Eastern Conference basketball, not the Eastern Conference basketball I poked fun at a couple of weeks ago on this show.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that is going to be, the home team has won every game in the regular season. There's one more regular season game that will be in Miami. I am really looking forward to that matchup.
Big props to the Pelicans, although they've
been on fire.
Yeah, they're on fire. Their season ends at the end of the regular season, but you can't discount how far that team has come.
Winners of 5 straight. They beat the Utah Jazz last night. They beat the LA Clippers, the Miami Heat during that winning streak.
Right.
Now they have to go on the road, and that's where I don't see the possibility of them winning 10 more in a row and even having a prayer at the playoffs. I think it stops when they go on the road. But hey, this is a glimpse. Remember we talked about last week about the 2007 Hornets when they had all the injuries and they came back, looked pretty good at the end of the year, but it was too late. And the next year they won that division with everyone healthy. I'm seeing a real possibility of that right now.
We've got to get out of here. We'd like to say big props to ULL, the #1 baseball team in the country.
Good job for the Raging Cajuns. They beat the LSU Tigers earlier this year, so they show they were for real. Look, also we have Major League Baseball season coming back. Sunday night baseball. Actually, technically, 2 games have been played in overseas, but stateside we'll have Sunday night baseball. LA Dodgers at the San Diego Padres. So America's pastime is back, like we always say around this time.
ADT, JNS, love you.
Have a good afternoon.